Hi everyone, welcome to Estimation Party. As you might have guessed, today we're going to learn how to make estimations. What's an estimate? It's an approximation of a certain quantity that we might be interested in. So often it's hard to get an accurate measure of a certain quantity, but often we also don't need a perfectly accurate measure, and it's sufficient to have a rough idea of the measure of the quantity. And you'll realize that just using some intelligent guesswork and simple mathematical tools and tools of logical reasoning, we can actually very easily come up with not very bad estimations. And these can be quite useful in different circumstances. So let's see a few examples. So here's our first question. Okay, it's a trivia question. The world's largest pyramid isn't in Egypt. It's actually the Great Pyramid of Cholula in Mexico. Its volume is 4.45 million cubic meters. What's that in cubic feet? Okay, so this question involves converting from one unit to another unit. And we're given three options: 14 million, 157 million, and 40 million. Now, you might get scared looking at this question, and you might think that, well, it's impossible to do without a calculator. That's not true, and we're going to see exactly how to do this. Okay, so here's first of all the conversion from meters to feet. 1 meter is approximately 3 feet. It's actually a little bit more than 3 feet, but for our purposes, we'll just round it off to 3 feet, and that will make our calculations easier. Okay, but we are not interested in meters, we are interested in cubic meters. So what's 1 cubic meter? Well, 1 cubic meter is 1 meter times 1 meter times 1 meter. Right? You can think of it as also the volume of a cube, such that each side of the cube is 1 meter long. That's where the word cubic meter comes from. Okay, and now to each of these 1 meters, I'm gonna apply this conversion formula that I have. So this equals, 3 feet times 3 feet times 3 feet. What's that? That is 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27 cubic feet. Great. So now I have, given the conversion from meters to feet, deduced the conversion from cubic meters to cubic feet. So what now, going back to the question, what are we interested in? We are interested in how much 4.45 million cubic meters is in cubic feet. Okay, if 1 cubic meter is 27 cubic feet, then that means 4.45 million cubic meters is equal to 4.45 times 27 million cubic feet. And how much would that be? Okay, and how much would that be? Well, these numbers again are a bit difficult to work with, right? So let's do another rounding off. This is approximately equal to 4.45 times 30. Remember, we said that 1 meter is actually a little bit more than 3 feet. So we can, assuming that we can kind of, instead of working with 27 cubic feet, work with a number slightly higher than 27. That will make our calculations easier, and that number is 30. And 4.45 times 30 is relatively easier to calculate. It's going to be equal to 155.75 cubic feet. Okay, now we have three options in front of us. Again, because we did some rounding off, we won't get an accurate answer, but we don't need that. We just need to pick the answer that's closest to the answer that we have, and that is B, which is the correct answer. Okay, that's great. So now you might wonder, well, why, if 1 meter is 3 feet, why don't we just directly multiply 4.45 million with 3? And why isn't that the answer? Why do we have to multiply by 27? And well, we saw sort of the numerical reason for why that's the case, but to make this more intuitive, this idea more intuitive, let's look at what's going on visually. And this is a very useful visual to keep in mind. This is 1 meter cubed. So this is a cube such that each side is 1 meter long. And each side has been further divided into 3 parts, such that each part is 1 foot long. And remember, we said 3 feet constituted a meter. So if you focus on just the side, then you can see that, okay, we have 3 feet equal to 1 meter. But we are interested in 1 meter cube. So you can see that the volume of the whole cube is 1 cubic meter. We get that by just multiplying 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. And the volume of each of these tiny cubes, so if I just focus on the volume of this tiny cube, that would be a cubic foot, 1 cubic foot, because that's the volume of a cube such that each side is 1 foot long. So now the question, if I want to get the conversion between cubic meters and cubic feet, I need to ask how many of these tiny cubes make up or are required to fill up the big cube. And we can easily count. The number is 27. Okay, great. So we'll do more examples of estimation. See you in the next video.